feel like I would have to be more selective, though, to commit to a larger purchase, because it wouldn't really be compared to this lump amount of money that I spend to that amount. It's like, if I spent this much on individual issues, I can spend this much on trades. But I don't think I would do that. I feel like I would spend even less money because I want to make even more sure I'm getting a book that I'm going to like.
I don't know. I feel like you wouldn't. I genuinely feel like if the whole story's there, and it's because we go back to how do you get into a book, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if all the criteria are hit just right off the bat, where you're like, it's been recommended, you like the idea, it's clever, it's in a certain genre, blah blah blah, and you're looking at it, you're like, are you really gonna say no, even though it hits where you would buy a number one versus
but spending $3 to $5 is a lot easier than $20.
Yeah, but the way you buy books is you typically don't buy books unless you're freaking 90% positive you're going to go the distance with the art.
It's true. That is true.
So,
but again, it's just a paradigm shift with how you would think about every purchase. For me, that's what I'm saying. Another thing that he said, though, that I really liked was about how the medium of comic books isn't really respected because it has stayed the same, essentially.
Right. Because of its beginnings, right?
Yeah.
So it had beginnings. It was for kids, and it's super cartoony. So they've not matured the medium, so people do not respect the medium as it should be. When
Right.
these stories are like, and again, this goes into indie comics, where indie comics are telling stories that are far beyond your just typical superhero stuff.
Right.
But people don't ever go into that area because it's not Marvel, it's not DC, and everything's superheroes. And it's like, just the friends that we have that watch the show, it's like they had no idea that there were comic books out there covering the stories that we've talked about.
Right.
And it's just because when you say comic books, you go Batman, Superman.
Exactly. And I've had conversations with people, too, where you justify them getting a comic book because, oh, no, it's not a comic book. It's a graphic novel.
Shut up.
I know, right? But it's one of those things.
It is.
It's the stigma that's out there. It's this bias that exists that if it's a comic book, it's like, oh, I'm above that sort of
Dude,
thing.
when I was a kid, I think it was like 6th grade, I hated reading.
Yeah.
But I loved reading comic books.
Yeah.
So my parents were smart enough to realize reading words is reading words.
You're so right.
And
when you're right, you're right.
Well, that's typically what happens when you're right.
Yeah. You're not left. I'm sorry.
Jeez
I'm just going to drink my rusty water.
It's so gross. My gosh. So anyways, I was reading comics, and it turns out that just from reading comics, I was like 4 or 5 grades ahead of the rest of the class.
Dang.
Just from being able to, my reading comprehension or whatever. But
you hear that, folks? You read comics, you get smarter.
Or at least you learn how to read well. Anyway, so the teacher wanted us to read like a minimum, it was 6th grade, so it was like 120-page book or something like that.
Okay.
And do a book report on it.
Nice.
And I didn't like books.
No.
So what I did is I said, can I read a graphic novel? She's like, what's a graphic novel?
Nah.
Comic book. No. Immediately no.
Right.
So I was like, what if the graphic novel that I want to read is like 300 pages? Word count wise, everything, gonna come close. She's like, well, you'd have to show me. No lie. I showed her Dark Knight Returns, and she was like, nope. Yeah.
No chance.
Not even like a...
Nothing.
Nothing. All because it had pictures.
I would love to be the teacher to be like, heck yes, you can do this.
It's one of those things. It was like rant incoming. It was seriously...
Is that what that was?
Yeah, it's because it's so stupid when you're a teacher and the point of teaching is to help kids learn.
Right.
But she gets hung up on the little tiny but it's not a book. When the idea is supposed to go, can you read something that's large and then succinctly describe it well at the end of the book? I can do that with a comic book. I can do that with any story. It doesn't matter if it has pictures in it.
Yeah.
You stupid teacher.
Well, yeah, because people learn different. You can't just teach everyone the same way.
Whatever.
And I feel like comic books, it's one of those things where it's like...
Joke's on her. I didn't do the book report because I didn't care. Nope. Actually, I take that back. I did do the book report, but guess what? I watched a movie that was based on a book.
No.
Yep. Suck it, 6th grade teacher.
Oh, man, you didn't even know.
Yep. And then I went and read comic books.
That's really good.
Yeah, when I took the entrance exams after like high school,
Yeah,
I was like top 1% for
There you
reading
go.
comprehension.
because of comic books.
And like one of the teachers was like, "Do you read a lot of books?" And I was like, "I only read comic books."
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Man, it's such a forerunner into this like new
What can I
age
say?
way of learning. So
I don't know.
good.
Yeah.
No, it's really good. So read comic books. I don't know what format you should read them in. Like either the whole digital thing, that's on the
Dude,
rise.
yeah, but I like collecting.
You see, that's the thing too, and it's so much of their money I feel like comes from variant covers.
And I do not like the fact that in sales numbers,
Right.
digital is not included.
It's weird.
Only books I think from Diamond
Okay.
are. I could be incorrect there.
Well, I do know that like it's obviously more expensive to make a paper book
Sure.
than a digital book.
Yeah, but I'm just curious what the sales numbers would look like overall.
Like how the digital audience is doing.
Yeah, and where's the digital audience reading?
Right.
Because
On their tablets, on their phones.
no, what I'm saying is like where like are they reading less Marvel DC, more everything else? Because I feel like the digital audience is more prone to be exploring like different genres and different stories and
Yeah, some of these stories are so moving and deep and like really good. Do you think that because when people think of comic books that when they think of superheroes, that's what is where that bias comes from? Because for kids and everything.
It's for kids and like, I'm not really into superheroes and like you and I have literally heard that from people that we know. Like I don't read comic books, I don't really care about Batman.
Well,
Turns out there's about 1 billion other things out there besides Batman.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I had no idea. Yeah. So whatever.
Obviously, they haven't seen this show.
Nope.
That's right. They haven't.
They
have not.
For those of you listening to the podcast, you really do miss a lot of his faces that he makes at the camera when he makes statements like that. Yeah. But you can watch us on YouTube and catch all his wonderful.
I mean, it could be worth it. I don't know. I don't see what I look like. That's hard.
No, you do because you see right there.
I can't. I don't want to.
Oh, that's right because our eyeballs work different.
That is exactly correct.